Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weishuhn. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking techs, electric smokers, feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thanks for that nice introduction. Friends, I tell you what, Mr. Weishuhn has been on a bear hunt way up in the north woods of Maine. If you listen, I think to last week's show, Larry was talking about that. Well, he's about to go on another bear hunt, but this time in southeast Oklahoma with our friends there at the Choctaw Hunting Lodge. Larry, thank you for being with us, and it's time to talk some past bear hunts and maybe talk about what's coming up the next few days up there at the Choctaw.
You know, you're exactly right, and I need to thank DSC, Conservation Education Hunter Advocacy, Hornady, which I put to really good use there in Maine on the last day of the hunt. We'll come back to that a little bit. Then Rossi and Taurus, the guns that I shoot, the handguns and the lever action rifles, and Stealth Vision. I've just been using a bunch of their stuff, and including the red dot sight on my 4570 Rossi rifle that I had, and Vineyard Max, which we have been using for bear bait here, as well as soon to be used for deer hunting bait kind of thing. But I just got back in time to leave from coming back home from Maine, where the very last afternoon, with about 15 minutes of light left, I was able to take a nice bear, not a huge bear, but a nice bear. The country up in Maine was absolutely beautiful, and really a little bit more beautiful than it normally is that time of the year, because they've been in such bad drought conditions for about the last 6 months or something like that. The water levels are way down. The leaves are turning colors. Were turning colors when we left up there before they were supposed to. They said almost a month ahead of time. But anyway, had a great time up there with Randy Flannery and his wife Sharon and their guides and Wilderness Escape Lodge. I already made plans to come back up there or get back up there again next year. Just a fabulous place in so many different ways, and reminds me a whole lot of where I am right now as well too. We just got started on this bear hunt here on the Choctaw, and those rolling hills that you see, you love them as much as I do. Very similar to what we saw up in Maine, although, things are different up there. But, again, lots of rolling mountains and that kind of thing. So that hunt was fantastic. The fishing, I got to fish up there for smallmouth, caught 30-plus smallmouth bass in 2 days that we mornings that we got to fish. Hoping to fish a little bit on the Choctaw once I get a bear, but we're going to be hunting all day long, sitting in blinds over bait that Dusty Vickery has put out, which includes peanut butter, but he's also mixed in a little bit of Vineyard Max, and I've got Mr. Edgar Cotton and Mr. David Cotton up here with us, and thankfully my wife Mary Ann's on this trip with me as well too. So we'll have to bring an update when we finish this one, I guess. Hopefully it'll be that we've got 3 bears on the ground before the hunt's over with, and we're on to fishing.
Larry, I've seen Dusty sent some of the trail camera pictures, and some big old bear. I mean, some look to me like 300-pounders, maybe plus. Some big bear up there in southeast Oklahoma, and yeah, I think it's a real good chance that you guys will put 1 or 3 on the meat pole up there, and it's a little different though than when you were hunting up in Maine, because I've talked to Dusty and you two a lot. Those bears are subject to show up anytime throughout the day, so it's a matter of kind of waiting them out there, isn't it?
It really is. In traditionally hunting spring bear or fall bear or spring bear, either one, you just usually hunt from midday on up, but, to the last sundown kind of thing. But these bear, I guess I should say, up here on the Choctaw, they're allowed to show up at first light or last light or at midday or mid-morning, mid-afternoon. And so basically what we'll be doing is what we are doing, I guess I should say again, is that we're going to the blind at about an hour before sun up and staying all day long until about an hour after dark. And we really just got started on the hunt. So no results or nothing really to report at this point, but hopefully for too very long there will be. And you're right, Luke, there's some huge bear up in Oklahoma. Last year the biggest bear that they shot on the Choctaw, now the part that they lease out to hunting groups, they shot a bear that weighed 615 pounds live weight. Now that is an absolute monster bear. And as you mentioned, some of the photographs that Dusty has had, they're 250 to about 400 pound bear that we're looking for, and hopefully we'll be able to find. And the good thing is I'm trying to film my own hunt, but we've also got Mr. Jeff Rice up here, and he's out with Mr. Edgar Cotton every day, and hopefully they'll be able to get that on film as well too, and we'll have all that where people can actually see what we did on the Sportsman's Life. And of course, some of the stuff that I shot up in up there in Maine, we'll have on pretty much maybe here in the next day or so, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I bet Jeff will put it up there on Carbon TV. Folks, Larry's talking about A Sportsman's Life. That's the TV show, the weekly TV show that we do. It's on YouTube. You can just type in A Sportsman's Life without the apostrophe, just Sportsman's Life, or, go to Carbon TV and watch it. It's free. Watch it there. And when you're on YouTube, make sure and click the button and subscribe, because that's what people do, right, Larry?
Absolutely. That's what we want them to do. I'll tell you what, again, over the years, as you well know, a lot of other people know, I did lots of outdoor television. And there, the thing about it was we would film it this year. You'd get to see it next year. And if you actually wanted to go hunting there, you'd have to wait another year to get there, kind of thing. Of course, in the process, lots and lots of things can change. With our Sportsman's Life, it's you see it this week, or we hunted and fished this week, pretty good chance that you're going to see it within the month, and sometimes almost, and quite often, I guess I should say, Jeff gets it done to where we hunt one week and you see it the next week.
Very, very quick. And the thing about that, Larry, is every time you watch A Sportsman's Life, friends, don't expect to see Larry shoot a 500-pound bear or us to catch a 20-pound striper or whatever we're doing. I mean, it may happen or it may not happen, but we film what actually does happen. So that's kind of the difference, and it's not rehearsed. None of it is. I don't think I'd want to be part of one that was rehearsed. It's just,
I'm laughing because I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to be trying to read cue cards and all that stuff, and then actually do it. I did one a show that I think it aired last week, about a new bow. I think you and I talked about it, just a run-of-the-mill. It's bear archery, a $500 bow that Pyramid Air set up, and I just walked the people through it. And I pulled it out of the box, out of the bow case, put an arrow in it, and have got hooked my release on my wrist, and got 25 yards. I shoot a lot at 25 yards at a target, a good-sized target. Put that 20-yard or 25-yard pin, which I use for 25-yard pin, put it on the bullseye. I think I hit 3.5 inches left, and I shot another one. I was about the same, right out of the box. So the lesson on that thing is a guy at Pyramid Air, Mr. Duker, Ron Duker, patented a way to adjust a bow at I would say factory, but at Pyramid Air, that's where he works. Right. He's an archery guy there. And this thing right out of the box, I mean, within 3 inches of the bullseye at 25 yards. And then all I had to do is, when you adjust the pins on a bow, you push the pins the way that it's hitting, So I just slid the pins over a little bit, and bingo, the next two arrows were, right where they should be. So that's the kind of stuff we do on A Sportsman's Life. Well, we're getting a little off the bear hunt now, but that's what people can expect to see. I mean, and every time it's not picture perfect. I mean, the things that we're I might do something wrong and then correct it, but it's kind of how it unfolds, and that's what makes that tick, isn't it?
It is. We call it real world TV, and that's truly what it is. It's if we do good, that's fine. We're always going to have fun, and
yes.
That's the beauty of what we do show. And of course, Luke, you're such a fantastic camp cook that you do so many different cooking segments for us there as well too. And usually when I watch those things, I'm going, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get back with Luke so I can kind of beg him and plead with him and says, would you please fix some of that stuff that you had on the last show? So yeah. I'm looking forward to some of that as well too. We've got a hunt coming up too. We mentioned the Choctaw. About the time we get off of that one, I'll go back home, take my wife back home, and I'll turn around and we'll be heading back up to the Choctaw for you to hunt whitetail deer and the archery season and all those season type things are going on, and I'll be up there about the same time, hopefully to film you shoot a big old buck while we're there.
I'm looking forward to that. I've got that CVA. It's Cascade 6.5 PRC with that stealth scope on it. And I don't expect to be shooting a deer at 300 yards or 400, but with that stealth scope, all I got to do is put 350, 325, 4, dial it in, and I've shot that thing again. It's right where you was with me when we set it up down at Doc's there in Stealth Vision headquarters. But the thing is still right on, and but I'm hoping to shoot one 100 yards or 75 yards. But if we need to stretch it out, I feel very confident with that setup.
You do, and I've watched you shoot it. And the thing about it is, Choctaw's got that 1,200 yard range. Now, neither you or I would ever even dream about shooting at an animal that far. But I'll have a Mossberg and a couple other guns there, and of course a bunch of Hornady ammo, and we may just play at the 1,200 yard range and see how close we can come at that 1,200 yard target as well. Once you shoot your animal at say 45 steps.
I like that. Well, the last time we shot it at 1,200, I can still remember that gong way down there dinging when we cranked it up to 12 and put the scope on it. Just like. I followed instructions there, and bingo, it was on. It's amazing how the quality of scopes nowadays. Stealth Vision, folks, I mean, you need to check those out. I mean, if you're looking for a really quality scope, they're designed for long-range shooting also, but they're also quite good for ranges that, I mean, it's a 100-yard shot. They like to zero them at 200, really, don't they, Larry? Again, but mine, I was old school. I want mine at 100, by golly. So that's where it's at.
That's where it's at.
But I know this too. In the heat of the moment, with that 6.5 PRC, a buck come up, maybe he's there for 5 seconds. I'm not worried about if he's at 265 yards. I'm not touching anything. I'm putting that thing right on the center of his center of that bread basket, and I'm going to squeeze the trigger. Up to 300 yards, you're in the kill zone if you hold center of where you want to hit. But those long-range shots. Larry, I wish, good gosh, we've been talking almost 13 minutes. I want to say thanks to our friends, our news stations, thanks to all of our radio stations, and we've got a bunch of them now. But San Angelo, friends, this is Mr. Whitetail. He's with us every week. Junction, El Dorado, all down in that country. Every Saturday at 3:06, by golly. So there, and then thanks, as always, to all the other stations. And, Larry, when this show airs on all of our radio stations, it becomes a podcast, an hour-long podcast. So people that that listen to podcasts traveling or whatever, Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and friends, they can ride down the road and listen to us, can't they?
They absolutely can, and I really need to say hello to all my kin folks out there in San Angelo. I got a bunch of them scattered around there, around Eola and Wall and San Angelo, and of course a whole bunch of friends there in Junction, including Connie and Brian Booth, who've been friends for a long, long time, and she was for the longest time involved with the Chamber of Commerce there. So, if you live in that part of the country, you see those folks, be sure to tell them all hello for us.
You bet. Well, Larry, thanks so much for being with us, and we'll get back next week, folks. Remember, Campfire Talk is always our first part of our show every week. So we'll resume next week, Larry, and thanks again.
We'll see you here in Oklahoma before too very long.
Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Look, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
Folks, I want to introduce you to Vineyard Max. Now, this is an awesome deer attractant, a food attractant that's made with hammer-milled grape skin, dried hammer-milled grape skins. It has a mixture of rice bran and also corn chops. Very effective. Deer can smell the scent of grapes from a long way, and it brings them in. I've used it in West Texas out with Larry Weishuhn, and we were out there where deer are not even exposed to grapes, and they came right in. Also, Vineyard Max has a very good line of game and fish feeders. Check them out online, vineyardmax.net. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time. Ultramatic feeders. I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the Campfire Talk with Mr. Weishuhn there earlier before the break there. That was Larry's coming to us up in Bangor, Maine. He'd been on I think 5-6 day bear hunt up there. But we're going to do some deer hunting together here in about 2 weeks up in Oklahoma. So I know we'll be giving you some updates from up there. But right now, let's go up to Lake Tawakoni. Now, my longtime friend, David Hanson, he's been guiding up there, Little D's Guide Service. Probably, I do believe, the most veteran guide, catfish guide up there. David, why don't I be quiet and say hello to you and let you talk to everybody?
Hello, Luke.
Howdy, buddy. So it's getting to be fall. It's October. Yeah. It's October. And so I could go out there, maybe I could catch a big fish by myself, but I know I can get in a boat with David Hanson. My chances are real good. Now, you guys been catching some big ones throughout the summer. People used to not even talk about that. And the big blue catfish we're talking about is all about channels. But y'all have learned through the years that they do bite in the summer too, but they bite really good when the water starts cooling, right?
Yes, sir. And you know, we're already experiencing the cooler nights. The days are actually cooler whether it feels like it or not, but yeah, this is a turning point for the bite at this time in the fall. Things start really heating up as far as the bite goes because these fish are feeding up, getting ready to get fat for the winter.
Mm-hmm. And Mother Nature's telling them it's time to eat, right? You know, that's what's happening.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And you know, sometimes with these fish, you may have to jump around a little bit to find them, but most of the time, especially in these last few weeks, when you get on them, you're on them. And you may not catch the 40, 50, 60 pounder in those warmer months previously. Yeah. But you're going to catch a lot of the fish in the 15, 20, 30, 40-pound range.
Yes,
I have found.
Yeah.
Now, with this cooler weather coming on, those bigger fish are going to be more active in the shallower water. You're typically going to fish the Santee rig with cut bait of your choice, shad, carp, buffalo, anything.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, if you're sitting there in 30 minutes, you hadn't caught a fish, move over 100 yards. They're liable to be right there. Your electronics are key, but not 100%.
Right.
I am still not sold on shallow water sonar, side imaging, and all that.
Right.
The only true test is 30 minutes.
I fished with you enough. I've learned that through the years, and you might remember, I'm sure you've told other people this, but I've been with you in an area that you knew were holding blue catfish, and some big ones and some what we call eaters too, blue catfish. And we'd fish 30. You've been on that 30-minute rule for many years, and we'd fish 30 minutes, and we might get one bite or one takedown, or might not get a bite at all. You'd fire up, and I remember I have heard you say this 1,000 times when I'm fishing with you. Think of these catfish as a herd of cattle out here, and think of the shad base as the grass, and they're going to be moving around, grazing here, and so we've moved. I've been with you, and we've moved 100 yards from a spot we previously didn't even get bit on, and hammered them. So I agree with you. I mean, I've seen it in practice. I've seen it happen. Move if you're not getting a bite, and not necessarily move from 5 foot of water to 40 foot either, right?
Oh no.
Yeah, right.
I usually, if I'm going out first thing in the morning, I'm going to start just as shallow as I can get with my boat.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first thing to do. If they're not there at 30 minutes, I'm going to move out a couple feet deeper maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be watching my surroundings for fish moving, shad flipping, carp rolling, and all that. All that's took into consideration. And when you see these things and you've fished for these fish as long as I have, it's all pattern. I mean, they do it every year.
Mm-hmm.
The same type of thing. And once you get locked in on that, it don't take long. I mean, you've got it. It's no big deal to go and, catch those fish. And I've had people tell me, boy, you're just lucky. And I said, well, it doesn't luck, you call it luck. I call it 30 years of hands-on, first-hand information.
That's experience. David, that's true. A good hunter, I've hunted all my life, and I'm certainly no catfish pro, but I fish with enough of you guys to know the program. I think I can legitimately say that. And it's the subtle things when you're hunting. Sometimes it makes the difference. Just knowing reading the wind, the sign that you see, things like that. Well, that carries through over into fishing too, doesn't it, David? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even on the worst hunt I've ever been on, it was the best one I've ever sat through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those little things that change it that nobody really realizes, like you say, it can all turn in a minute.
Yeah. When you're on the water, you mentioned things like a shad flipping, or just stick with that. There's a reason that shad jumped out of the water, right? I mean, your brain is saying, whoa, I've seen this happen 50,000 times. There's something's after him, right? So why don't we fish this area a little harder? I know that's the mindset,
Absolutely. I mean, there's something feeding on those shad, and whatever that is, a blue cat is feeding on him.
Yeah. And tell us about some of the big fish that you have seen blue catfish eat. A lot of people think, oh, well, a little 3-inch shad, that's about as big as you want to use. I've seen them eat some big fish, and that's not all. I'm not talking about all gizzard shad either. I've seen them eat some big bass and everything else, Over
the years, I have seen everything. Most time they puke these things up as you get them in the boat.
Yep.
I had a biggest part of a cormorant, a whole, we call them mud ducks.
A poodoo or mud duck, yeah.
Well, a whole one of those, and a 55-pound fish got in the boat, and I had it taking the hook out, and I seen something hanging out its mouth. Reached down there with my pliers, had a 10-pound striper in his belly, Luke.
You've told me about that, and that's totally understandable. A blue catfish is a predator of the highest order, is he? Really? I mean, that rascal can he knows how to make a living in the water, put it that way.
Yes, he is. He's the great white freshwater, as far as I'm concerned.
That's true.
And,
yeah.
You know, and other things that you would never think, I found the center part of a clay pigeon in a 10-pound fish's belly one time.
Oh, me. You gotta wonder. You gotta wonder. Some old boy had a hand thrower or something off the bank. Yep, somewhere up on the upper end of the lake. He was throwing them clay targets up in the air, and maybe he busted one, and it started floating down. You gotta wonder how that happened, don't you?
Well, that thing was fluorescent orange, and most of the time I'm using a fluorescent orange cork.
I know it. Yep. Yeah, right. I'm putting two and two together. There's a reason for that, isn't it? Yeah.
And a lot of times with these blue cat, especially when they're really thick in an area and you're just catching them one after the other, I'm throwing that orange cork. As soon as it hits the water, you got a fish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a reaction to that splash in that color. Ain't got nothing to do with the smell of that bait.
No, I
it's
believe
a reaction
you.
By it.
They're saying, wait a minute, something fell into my dinner plate here. It's time to eat, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they can be vicious, no doubt.
There's so many what I call fine points, and I've said many times that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about my being an outdoor writer for almost 40 years now. 39 years, and it's getting to deal, well, of course, you and I are friends. We've become friends years ago, but just say hunting with a turkey hunting pro or going out, whatever, with a seasoned bird dog, upland bird guy that trains dogs, whatever it is. You learn things by doing it that most people, it just right over the top of their head. They haven't experienced it or seen the results of the shad flipping or the carp, So that's what's always been intriguing to me and fun and interesting is I've always, I've learned a lot from you. I mean, fishing with you on catfish. I grew up thinking, David, of course, we trot lined a lot. Now that I understood that. But I used to think, okay, the way to catch a catfish with a rod and reel, we fished off the bank a lot. Get a big old chunk of liver, heavy weight, throw it out as far as you can, and wait. Well, there's no telling how many fish I'm talking about a big old chunk of lead to hold it down, fish on the bottom. No telling how many fish I've lost back when I was a kid fishing that way. Because they'd take the bait and you never even knew they were there. David, let's hook people up that want to go for a bunch of good snow white blue catfish fillets, maybe, or maybe they've never caught a 25 or 55 pounder. How do they get a hold of you and get down there to Tawakoni and get some of that action?
Anybody can reach me at any time at 903-268-7391. Or just find me on Facebook, David Hanson or Little D's Guide Service.
Easy to track down. Our friends, any of our guests, many of the folks are friends of mine that are on our show. You can always go, if you can't remember a number, whatever, catfishradio.org. Email Luke, and I promise you I'll get you in contact with them. David, thank you a lot, buddy, for the info and enjoyed the visit with you. I think it's time to catch a catfish.
Let's go.
I want to tell you about a one-stop shop for everything related to game feeders and fish feeders, Ultramatic feeders. I've been using components and feeders from Ultramatic feeders for 20-something years, I guess. They have the remote, which you can remotely activate your feeder with, the timer, which is the most simple timer that I've ever found on a game feeder. And then the eliminator. Check these out. They are worked on actually on centrifugal force, and they seal off the corn supply so coons and squirrels can't get to the corn. Check them out. Ultramatic feeders, you could go online to ultramaticfeeders.com. Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. For seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com.
Big Sam left Seattle in the year of 92 with George Pratt, his partner, and brother Billy too.
Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy Mr. Justin Rudd and his team of experts and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, up at beautiful Lake Texoma, guess what? The gulls are coming back in large flocks. Where they go, I don't know, maybe all the way from the coast. But Bill Carey is with us. We're going to talk about striper fishing up on Lake Texoma. For those of you that listen to the podcast after the radio show runs on all our wonderful radio stations, Lake Texoma is about an hour north of Dallas on the Texas-Oklahoma border, and it is striper headquarters. Good morning to you, Mr. Carey.
Well, good morning, Luke, and all y'all out in radio land.
How's things up at Texoma this morning?
Oh, buddy, it's October. Oh, October says it all for this lake. We have got these stripers. They're fattening up after the summer. Our top water bite in the morning has just been excellent. I'm happy today.
You sound happy, buddy. It makes me feel good just talking to somebody that's up there close to those stripers, because you know how much I like to catch them, man. I think pretty soon I'm going to be able to sneak off up there with you. You and I've got a little secret hunting spot up there. We're going to do some. I think I've prompted you to get back into some little deer hunting. We're going to do that, but I'm not going to miss a chance to catch a fish. Maybe we'll catch a fish early, then we'll go doing some little deer scouting and preparation after that. What do you think about that, Bill? Would that work?
Heck yeah, buddy. My neck's starting to swell. We're having cool mornings.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be shooting a crossbow. I've got a couple of bows. I'm not a gearhead. I'll be shooting one of those, and I've got a project going with a bear bow and just a basic bow that I think would be interested. We'll talk about that on the radio soon. I think I've already mentioned it. But anyway, stripers. Now, October, tell us about what people can expect, and everybody that fishes, Bill, that knows fishing knows that it's not always exactly the same way every day. That's why you get a guide up at Texoma, in my opinion,
That's right. The weather has so much to do with it, and it's pretty stable. And what happens right now is we've got that early morning top water. That's when we blind cast.
Yep.
We get up on those shallow banks, and that bait moves in, and the fish follow. You might not see them, but we know places to go because they have to have a way to get up on that shallow and leave. Just like when we drive on a road, how we have habits.
Yep.
So we go to these places, and we cast these big plugs, and oh, it's so exciting. Anytime your plug is in the water, you're in the strike zone. We can raise your plug up sometimes, and a fish comes from nowhere and grabs it right there. It's just happening, buddy. It's good. Bill,
a lot of people talk about the best time to fish. Well, to me, the best time to go fishing for stripers at Texoma is when you can get away to do it, because you catch them summer, winter, and all. But there is something special about fall. Well, and one thing about it, I don't know if it's Mother Nature telling those fish that, hey, it's about to get cold. Your metabolism's about to slow down. You better start eating. But they do. People that, guides, experienced fishermen, everybody says, oh man, October is the month. October, November. Well, I agree. I mean, for a lot of reasons, it is. I mean, you know me. I'll dress up and get out there with you in February. I don't care. But and we always catch fish. But it's just pleasant this time of the year. Now, top baits. I know you've got you guys specialize actually in the hunt using artificial baits. But you've got a little Dave, he's a live bait specialist. I mean, you can pretty much whatever, any way that people want to catch fish, you can do it. But the artificial lures, man, that's so much fun. And this is the time of year when that shines, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. They're schooling, and the birds have arrived. We talked about that, the seagulls. Yeah. I don't know where they come from, but there's tens of thousands of seagulls that make their winter here, and they are here. And folks, what happens is these stripers are schooling fish, and they will find bait and push it to the surface, just like in the summer, but they won't bust the water. They will be, from surface down to about 30 foot thick. And you get your binoculars. That's the most important tool you can have today, is binoculars. And look for these birds. Approach them and get upwind of them, and we'll just watch which way they're going and let them come to you. And we're chunking 4-inch white glow sassy shad on a 3/4 ounce head. And we've got spinning tackle. We got bait cast. Anybody can do this. It's open water fishing. That's what makes it so easy. And you get multiple hookups. Luke will say, I got one. And then Bill will say, I got one. And I call it fish on the floor. It is fun.
It is that, Bill. And you're right. You're not targeting with a top water plug or a particular bait, a little stick up out there somewhere. You're out in open water. These stripers, they are open water schooling fish. Right. And they're also a good food fish. I mean, a lot catch and release is great, but I tell you, these stripers fight so hard. I was up in Saskatchewan, not this year, 2 years ago, and I was fishing with a guide up there on Tasman Lake, which is in the northeast corner of Saskatchewan, near the Northwest Territories. We were catching pike, and a big old pike is a fighting son of a gun. But this guide told me, I don't know how the subject of striped bass came up, but it did. And he told me, he said, I've never caught a striped bass, but he said, I've heard they fight you all the way to the boat. And I said, they do. And he got talking about, he actually cooked some pike stew, type of dish that it was cool up there. And he was talking about stripers. He said, I've heard they're good eating. And they're a food fish on the eastern coast of the U.S. They're commercial fish. Right. I said, they are premier. But they are. And to me, when I go up there and catch a bunch of what we call box fish, that's a big deal for me to there's a lot of ways you can cook them. You can fry stripers, but I like to put a little butter and lemon and sweet basil, dry basil on them, and bake them, by golly. And I'll blacken them and everything else, but they are really good cooked that way. So I bet a lot of your customers think about that too. They're having fun catching them, but they're probably thinking about how they're going to cook them, aren't they, Bill?
Yes, sir. We release all largemouth and smallmouth, but this striper is here to harvest and eat. And I know that sounds crazy, but they are excellent table fare. Well, folks, Luke ran a contest on one of the social networks 2 years ago, and I didn't see the ending. He put, what is your favorite fish to eat? Not catch, so your crappie fisherman chimed in, your cat fisherman chimed in, and I didn't see the ending to it. And I saw Luke at a rendezvous just later, and he said, did you see who won? I went, what? And he said, the striped bass. And I said, and it should be, because folks, this is the best tasting fish fighting this fish, it's just so much fun. Here we are, 43 years in the business, and it's those fish that keep us going.
It is. It's and it's amazing. I never think twice about keeping a limit of, under 20-inch fish, because, I mean, Texoma, the Ouachita and the Red River, the spawn that happens up in those rivers because of the salinity, that's why they hatch there, folks. It's like we could go into detail, but the water's more buoyant and the eggs don't lay on the bottom. They roll along, and that's all those baby stripers. But it's just Texoma it replenishes itself yearly, Bill. That's the key, isn't it, right there?
That is the key. We have the best documented natural spawn of freshwater stripers in the country. Our limit reflects it. You're allowed to have 10 fish. That's a lot. People freak out on the phone. 10 fish per person per day, and versus the state limit of 5. And just excellent table fare. It's the best. And I like Luke's blackening recipe. I haven't fried a fish forever because of that butter in that skillet. Oh, mercy sakes, it's just nothing better.
Bill, I want to say hello to some new listeners, fairly new, out in West Texas, in San Angelo, out there on our station. They, San Angelo, Junction, El Dorado, all out in that country, people are listening on I-10. So if you're rolling down I-10, next time you're up around Dallas, come up here and go striper fishing with Bill, folks. But we appreciate all the radio stations. Couldn't do it without them. I mean, now we're from northern Arkansas, Georgia, all over Texas. So thank you to all of those fine folks. And there's a contingency of people that love the outdoors. And Bill, I think they like the casual one-on-one visits, and really I learn something from our shows every week.
Heck yeah.
I go back and listen to them. They become a podcast, and they're listened to all over. But I want to thank you for all your input through the years and helping people learn about catching striped bass.
Heck yeah. That's one thing I tell people. If they're not even a customer, they can call me, and Bill Carey will talk fishing, because this is my passion. I love this lake. And, somebody asked me yesterday, they said, so how did you last 43 years? I said, well, having the best fishing lake I've ever seen in my life. And I fished through Central America, Mexico, and North America.
Yep.
I've never seen a lake day in, day out that kicks them out like this. And I said, having a 40-year brand doesn't hurt, because, we keep a clean brand and we treat people the way they want to be treated. And, things are good. Things are good. A lot of happy fishermen right now, because we're catching, we're not fishing.
That's
it's
right.
just so much fun.
That's true. Folks, you can contact Bill Carey, Striper Express. You can just Google that, striperexpress.com. Bill, leave a number if somebody wants to give a call to the office up there and check in with you folks.
You bet. You can call us at 903-786-4477. That is 903-786-4477.
Bill, I will release you now and let you get back communicating with all those guides. We'll get you back soon. How about it?
Okay, buddy.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. Kubi's.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas, and Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, what do you say we talk a little bow hunting? Bow season is open in Texas, and you might be listening on a podcast who knows where, but chances are a lot of us are thinking about getting in a bow stand. Mark Billette is my bow hunting mentor. I was upper 30s, close to 40 before I really got serious. I watched Mark, I never will forget it, hit a can at about 40 yards with his arrow, with his bow. And I said, if he can do that at 40, I bet I can learn to at least hunt a deer at 25 yards, which with some good training from Mark, I did. I learned how to do it. We're going to talk bow hunting with Mr. Mark Billette, who owns B&C Outfitters. A lot of you probably hunted with Mark, but he's down in Groveton, Texas. Mark, thank you for being with us, bud.
Hey, Luke, how are you?
I'm okay, man. I tell you what, we go back for many, many, many years hunting together, and we've had untold good times together, and you are the person that got me interested in shooting and hunting with a bow, and I still do. I hunt with a bow, but you know, Mark, I don't know, as an old outdoor writer, I hunt with big bore air guns and about everything, but there's nothing like, to me, getting in a bow stand, whether it's a ground blind or whatever, and getting up close like that. There's no hunting experience that equals that, and I know dang well that's the way you look at it, you know?
Oh, for sure. It captured me, many, many years ago, and just the thrill of being that close and having to be so meticulous, it had me hooked my whole life.
Yeah, if you don't do everything right, and there's a lot of mechanics that goes into when you see the deer and getting that bow drawn and trying to do it all stealthily, where you're not going to spook them. There's a lot of things you have to do right. Scent, talking strictly deer right now, deer hunting, whitetail, but scent is a big, big thing, especially when you're going to be within 20, 25 yards of your game, isn't it, Mark?
Oh, definitely, for sure. I mean, that's when I do set up a stand or something like that, that's the first thought in my mind is playing the wind every time.
Yep. Just say there's a spot, a clearing in the woods down there that you want to start hunting. Do you try to think about prevailing winds when you're setting the stands? I mean,
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I mean, our predominant, wind is a south wind.
Yep.
And occasionally we get the cold fronts. Rarely ever do we have an east wind, so I definitely set up and play those every time.
Yep. Camouflage. That's Larry Weishuhn and I, we've talked a lot about camouflage. Mark, this was probably before your time even, I would guess, but you might remember the old wool. Do you remember the old Woolrich coats, the black and the checkerboard patterns, black and red and all that?
Absolutely.
Do you? Yeah.
I mean, I've got pictures of me as a kid and all the older people they had their hunting clothes on, the black and red checkers.
That's it. And I was talking with Larry. The fact is that was effective, and it still is effective today. It breaks your pattern up, and it's colors that deer don't. That the biologists have proven, that deer don't readily focus on. And Larry and I both were talking about, but we wear camouflage because, well, it's just, actually the clothing is comfortable. And the deal is, why not? I mean, I'm not a proponent, and I don't know your feelings. I think I know how you feel about it, but you got your woodland pattern or whatever. As long as it blends or breaks up your outline, it seems to me that any camo would work. Mark, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I agree with that completely. I think breaking up the pattern, it doesn't have to, be any particular camouflage, but just, breaking up your silhouette, but you can also go back to not wearing a face mask and having your face sticking out. And now you've got another object there. If you don't wear a face mask or something, you're trying to bow hunt, I tell a lot of people, put your bow in front of your face, just anything to break it up.
That's
you need to be in the ready position for a deer anyways.
That's true. And here's a very good topic and something that I've put to practice a lot of times. Regardless whether you're hunting in the woods, with leaves and in the forest, or if you're hunting on the edge of a wheat field or whatever, chances are real good, not always, but chances are you're going to see or hear, you're going to have some tip-off that buck, say, is coming in. And what I do, I get the bow up. I don't mean hold it up like I'm going to draw it, but I've got it up in a vertical position, and I've got my body turned to where I think the first shot I'd have at that buck would be, so getting ready for the shot. If you just sat there with that bow on your lap and that buck comes in at 18 or 20 yards, it's going to be hard to get the bow up and get drawn and shoot him, isn't it? So being ready is important.
I think that's a great point. I mean, at the time to shoot, you have to do 30 inches of movement, draw the bow back.
Mm-hmm.
If you add lifting your bow, getting everything ready, and doing all that, look at the amount of movement at an animal that close. So definitely the hardest part is making your 30-inch draw. But if your bow's already in position, that's one less thing to do. Absolutely.
That's true. And something else that I've done, I don't say I do this every time, but when the situation arises, I hunt deer close to my house here now, and other places too, of course. But if you've got some cover in front of you, not so much cover that you can't see the deer, or that you'd have to shoot through a bunch of brush, but say many times I've had like one tree out there, one bush or whatever, and it might be closer to me, like if I'm trying to shoot and I'm looking for 20, 25 yard shots, and if I've got a bush out there at 10 or 15 yards, it's good to have something that blocks the view. Wait till that deer, if he's real close, wait till he gets behind cover and then get ready. I mean, you can't always do that, but when you can hunt that type of situation, Mark, I found that real helpful too,
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the tricks out of my playbook right there, is leave something right there in the middle just to, help give you a little concealment.
That's right. I remember hunting by the house here. This has been 5 or 6 years ago, but I had such a setup. Had a feeder out there about, 25 yards, and I had just one bush that I didn't trim. I left it there, and a cow. People can talk about hunting bobcats with a bow. To my way of thinking, a bobcat is as dumb as a box of rocks compared to a coyote. I've had bobcats almost crawl in a ground blind with me, Mark, out of curiosity. But a coyote's a different deal. I had a big old male coyote come running in, and as luck would help, he stopped behind this one bush. No way I could have got drawn on him had he stopped. He probably smelled me, really, or something. Well, I got drawn, and all this happened within probably 6 seconds, and he stepped out behind that bush, and I shot. He probably wasn't 15 yards, but there's where that kind of thing comes in. Leave a little cover around there,
For sure. Yep, I agree with that. And you don't need all that wide open space or to worry about something blocking that one little spot, because they're not going to stand just in that one area and move. They're going to move around. So
no, and it is challenging and can be frustrating when you want to. If it's a good buck, you want to arrow that thing so bad, but he's not always broadside, and you're waiting for that right angle, that shot angle. That's a good topic, Mark. Body position on a deer. I know people that would shoot a deer head on, and I know a lot of people that's killed deer. You may have. I've never shot one head on like that, but a lot of people do. But that shot's got to be perfect on a frontal shot, and it's a tough one to make, Mark. A lot of people do it, though, don't they?
Yes, they do it. I usually don't take that chance. I guess if I was ever put in the right situation, I might. But,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've always opted out of that one and just wait for the better shot.
Wait for the shot. And I really, people talk about, well, a quartering away shot is the perfect shot, but it's good if you can tuck that arrow right behind that back rib. Obviously it's good, but I don't know. I wait for a broadside shot, really, and usually if you're patient and you do, if you're quiet, you can get that. You can get you a broadside shot at a deer. But anyway, I thought it would be fun just to talk with you and about the old times too. We've had many. You just got back from Colorado hunting the ranch up there that we all used to outfit on up there north of Steamboat Springs, and lots of elk. That was back during last month's full moon, and y'all saw a lot of game. And were there as many bear up in northern Colorado as what we used to encounter, Mark?
There's more.
More? Wow.
It's becoming an issue up there. I think the state has realized it. The people in town have realized it. The landowners have realized it. One guy put it pretty good. Our bears are like your Texas pigs. So.
Good Lord. But when we were outfitting up there, it always surprised me that more people, they were after elk. I mean, most of the hunters, they were all about an elk. And there were just very few bear. While I was the 6 years, I guess, that I was up there, very few bear were taken. But it seems like that would be a big draw for people, But I guess it's all about the elk, or that's the big ticket item, isn't it?
Yes, and fall time, everyone's got the deer and the elk on their mind. They're not much on the spring bear, so. Yeah.
It's a shame they won't let them bait up there, really. But killing a bear up there in the afternoon used to be as easy as sitting on a water hole. Half the time you could get one. Mark, we are out of time. The website for folks to track Mark down or go hunting with him, he's got a great hunting place up there not too far from Crockett, near Groveton, Texas, in East Texas. The website is easttexasexotics.com, right, Mark?
Yes, it is. We do have a few issues with some of the scammers hitting our outfitter websites, but a phone number is always good too. Generally, you can at least get to my website and see it.
Yeah.
But you can always call me at 936-544-0882.
Well, Mark, I know you're getting in the busy time of year. I'll let you get back to filling feeders or whatever you're doing, and hopefully I can get loose and get down there and visit with you this fall.
That sounds great.
Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time, too. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring.